Everybody, we got three of the best historians in the game here. Check it out, everybody. Okay, let's put that there, and then let's put that there, and put it against this bottle. That's disaster. Okay, this is not. This is lo-fi. Okay.
So it looks like you got me and no one else.
Wait,
Possibly a little
more
sad.
bottles.
Yeah, let's get some more bottles here.
There are only bottles of
That's me
water,
and
everyone.
Susie.
It's terrible.
That's you and Suze. That's okay. That's the main event. That's you and Suze.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, Dan.
Love.
Okay, hello everybody.
No,
Hello,
it's
I'm here.
English,
Hello.
isn't it?
And Marianne, there you go. You can just occasionally you'll have to just put
There
your
you
head
go.
in as well.
Is that
No,
better?
Okay, everybody.
Snuggle
I'm
up.
going to be hidden behind this
Okay,
rather big microphone.
Okay, let's start. Here we go. Start the podcast.
Seriously.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm joined by three television historians and television historians and radio historians, all sorts of things. And we've got people being streamed on Facebook and YouTube and Periscope, so we may answer questions from the audience. Someone saying that it's a gaggle of historians. What is the collective noun for historians? What do you think it should be?
It's an argumentation.
Argumentation of
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
historians.
that's good. I can't really argue with that.
Yeah.
That genuinely is the case.
Oh, is
Genuinely
it?
true.
Oh, it is.
Is
It's
that
not-
actually
you didn't
true?
just make it up on the
Is that
spot.
actually
I was thinking, God, that was Susie's being very quick-witted here.
Okay, good. So, listen, guys, we need to talk about TV and history, and also probably need to talk about social media and new ways of history. We've got all three of you are big social media, all three of you on TV. James has actually started a history festival, which is sort of another way of engaging huge crowds in a more old-fashioned way, which actually people turning up and doing stuff in the real world.
And the mud.
And the mud this year. What all three of you? What is the best thing about working in television as opposed to books and academia? Suze, let's start with you because you're actually a teacher as well as all those other things.
I suppose, I mean, I really love doing the TV history as well as writing and teaching, partly because of the quality of life. So it means that I get a chance to actually work with other people. Whereas if you're a lecturer and you're writing a book, most of the time what you're doing is working on your own.
Yep,
So
I agree
it's
with
a
that.
nice opportunity. It's not intimidating at all, Dan. It's a nice opportunity to work with people, but also it means, I mean, the opportunities for a TV historian to be able to go and touch documents you otherwise wouldn't be allowed to touch, or hold things, or go into places.
You're
the
definitely
access.
treated in a different way
You
if
are.
there's television cameras in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, if you just come as James Holland, historian, I'm writing a book, they sort of give you pretty sort of
Yeah, so,
scant
you,
regard.
You can
but
see the
if,
microfilm version, but if you go, you
you
the
get to
real
touch
deal.
stuff and see
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, I would agree with that because a lot of I've seen incredible places that I just wouldn't have seen on my normal research route anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but which are incredibly useful for my book. So I'll give you an example of this. As last year I was filming in the Valentin U-boat assembly pen near Bremen, and it's a vast thing. I knew nothing about it. It had an incredible story. I may well write about it at some point, and it was just fascinating to see it, and it kind of confirmed all sorts of things that I'd heretofore thought about, but hadn't actually sort of seen in the flesh.
And that's it. It's that tangibility, isn't it? So the most amazing time I got to learn to joust.
Oh yeah, no, that
It's
is
so
good.
You know what's
awesome.
weird is it sounds like that's just a TV gimmick, but it's kind of not. When you're there and suddenly you do realise lots of stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. No, you learn
Experimental
everything about
archaeology.
it.
It's the new
Yeah.
buzzword, but I'm really into this. I really
Yeah.
get this, and this is learning from the past by doing. So people are terribly rude about reenactors and things, but actually the best reenactors, or the best living historians, or experimental archaeologists as they like to call themselves, actually can teach you so much because there's that tactile link, and they're wearing stuff and firing stuff and eating stuff and drinking age-old medieval beer or whatever they're doing, which tells you a lot more about how people lived in that past.
I've got a brilliant example of an absolutely beautiful moment of experimental archaeology, and it was one of those really early kind of Big Brother style, you know, TV experiments where they got a bunch of people in the 70s to live like they lived in the Iron Age.
Yes, I
And they were
remember
living in, Iron Age roundhouses.
Mhm.
And they realised, the archaeologists, that for a long time they tried to work out why there was this funny kind of divot just in as you step into a roundhouse doorway. And they thought, does it have some kind of, you know, a spiritual function? Is there some kind of social spatial rule that means that you have to step over or step through, or did they lay something down on the ground? But actually they realised in the course of this 1970s TV Big Brother style Iron Age experiment that it's where on a stamped earth floor the chickens go to have a dust bath. And it forms
that's just
the
genius.
perfect oval roundish shape that people end up stepping over, and so you get this really extraordinary but very kind of specific
And a bit
shape
of dry
on the earth.
earth as well.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
you see
good.
it in archaeological sites all the time, and they go, chicken dust bath.
Yeah.
And that's all comes through a TV show.
That's TV for you.
Guys, if you're at
Wow,
home
telly.
on Facebook or Periscope or anywhere else, we've got questions here if you want to know about TV history from these guys. James, I think the other one is military history, right? Because with military history, seeing the landscape is so important, isn't it? And
my
in a way
goodness.
that you actually can't replicate if you're just not able to travel to those places.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a massive believer in walking the ground, and I'll give you one classic example of this, and this is that, General Mark Clark, Fall of Rome, he's been absolutely vilified ever since 1944 for doing supposedly going against Field Marshal Alexander's orders and taking a different route. It's only when you get there and you see the landscape you can see precisely why he would not have wanted to have walked in an open valley, a bit like the valley at in the Crimea, and had his whole flanks exposed. And it's only when you're there that you can see that. And I got there and I had no preconceived idea about Mark Clark whatsoever. And I looked at this and I just thought, if I was Mark Clark, I would not want to do this charge straight across without confronting my flanks, where the whole of a German army were lined up in the hills. I mean, you just wouldn't want to do it. And that was just a perfect example of that.
Yeah. And even with costume, I mean, like, actually, one of the things from the 16th century is, the portraits of the women, that they have their arms at this kind of right angle at the sides. And it's actually because if you put on a 16th century dress, at least early 16th century, that's how the sleeves are stitched. You can't move your arms above this as a woman, and all the weight is actually on your hips. Whereas for a man in the 16th century clothing, all the weight is on their shoulders, and so it makes you carry yourself in a different way. So that suddenly there's that kind of embodying of history, that actually really acting as people in the past would have acted, and you change because of how you're dressed.
Okay,
Yeah,
we got-
I'm all for it. I really am, and I think actually, in terms of future TV, I think there's a lot to be said for this, because obviously, if you're just say you're doing something on the war, you obviously you can't recreate the jeopardy of being shot at by Germans or Japanese or whatever. But what you can do,
can arrange that.
you could do, but you sort of know about the jeopardy. What you don't
Yeah.
know is about what it's like to actually live in a tank or march through the jungle or whatever. And I think there is a huge amount to be learned from that by kind of wearing the same stuff, eating the same food, and all the rest of it. And then you get history, you get experimental archaeology, you get travel, you get adventure, you get damn good banter, you get the whole lot. It's kind of what's not to like.
Okay, so we've got Mike_TV has just asked, how is our preparation different for TV or writing a book? Marianne, what do you think?
Generally quicker, and generally you've got a team who are all working together to build the story that you want to tell. And TV, I think, is quite harsh in that if it doesn't serve the story, if it doesn't help you as the presenter explain why this thing is important, why it's fascinating, why you should stay tuned and carry on watching rather than flick over to watch the reruns of Come Dine With Me, then it gets dropped quite quickly. That said, I think we've probably all filmed sequences or interviews with people that you go, God, that was fantastic, so fascinating, and it never makes the final show.
Or only makes a kind of
Yeah, a kind of like, here's 30 seconds on this really fascinating thing that the person that I was interviewing has spent their life's work researching. So I think with writing a book, it's you're conductor and composer, whereas with TV it's like a big brass band.
I've just had such different experiences with TV, and I know you have as well. But I mean, you can go and be on a kind of sort of, I don't know. It's one of the great anniversaries of the Second World War. You're in the studio. You're being a pundit. That's one type. You're doing something for History Channel. You just turn up. You're fed the lines. You can put your own input a little bit, but basically you're told what to do. It's sort of semi-scripted. Then you can do another documentary with the brilliant Michael Wood's company, you know, the daddy of TV historians, and you're writer and presenter, and you're there in the edit, you're fine-tuning every word that goes into the script. It's much more organic, it's much more like putting a book together where your input is kind of pretty much total. That's a kind of a huge privilege and a great luxury and quite rare. And then you can have one which is a sort of bit of somewhere in between. So it's not just a question of doing TV. There's different types of TV and different types of shows, obviously, and there's different types of history shows, and some are kind of really, really meaty, and you have a proper thesis, and you can really roll your sleeves up and treat people like grown-ups, and other stuff is, you know, let's face it, a little dumbed down.
Yep, there's lots of different types of TV. That's a very good point. Suze, what about you? How's the preparation different?
Well, so a lot of the shows I've done have been things that I've actually written about already. So I'm drawing on a deep well of knowledge. So a lot of stuff about Henry VIII, for example, or about witches, witch hunt stuff that I did was stuff that I taught a lot and I was really deeply versed in. So some of the things that I knew less about when we first started making them were things like the Hidden Killer series, which started with the Victorian home, but the way that I work with that production company and others is very much that it is driven by my research. There will be a researcher on the team as well, but then it also tends to be I provided like a document that says this is the core line of the argument we want to make, and then I'm really difficult, James. So I'm basically the person working on all the script edits and things like that. And now, brilliantly, we can write that in, and I don't have to fight for it all the way and have to say, but we get to say I'm going to do that. But time is the thing. A book you have longer to do, and so the pressure is on time, and getting the research done in that period of time makes a difference. And then, as you said, I think you completely nailed it, Mary-Anne, when you said that actually it's about that idea that you're not the final author. Like, you might write it, but still there are a lot of other people involved. There's a director involved who will be putting in his input. There's an executive producer. There's the channel, and all of them have a role in shaping the program, and they have an idea about what they want it to be. And so that means that it is a team effort. Absolutely.
The thing that I love about TV as well is that you have all these sort of visual devices to really, what you were saying, James, about that experience of walking the landscape, of seeing it for yourself, of experiencing the costume or the kind of experimental archaeology elements. The thing that I love about TV now, particularly I think because possibly commissioners and viewers are super sophisticated, and you know, people will be tweeting, and you can be live, you know, periscoping a kind of running commentary as your show is airing, and have that direct, immediate engagement with viewers. And you have all these different visual tools in your sort of arsenal when you're actually making the TV show. So if you want to explode an idea in different ways, kind of have some kind of reenactment, have some kind of diagram, have some kind of cut to the person who needs to say this one key thing.
That's right.
Or just show someone that landscape.
And that's exactly the way in which TV is not just a visual book. It can do things that books can't do. Yeah. And in the same way as, you know, that the apps that you've done, Dan, for example, is going to have this multi-layered effect, and it gives a richness of approach. So I think so many people don't learn well from books. That's not their mode. I mean, you know, generally speaking, historians are book people, but lots of people have different ways of learning, and seeing things on TV is a really great way of getting engaged and excited by history.
Okay, let's go downside though. So we love TV history, but that's why we all do it. And lots of comments. Thank you very much. We got comments on historical dramas, which we will deal with, and fave periods and stuff like that. Thank you. But I just want to quickly ask tonight, guys, what are the we've all been quite excited about it. What are the worst things about working in TV history? Mary-Anne.
I think sometimes if you see a key element that should be told that you perhaps don't necessarily agree on editorially with the rest of the team, or sometimes you think you've made a great show and the viewers go, oh, it was all right.
That happens a lot.
And you kind of, you know, you can't lie to however many million people have a TV license and go, well, you know, it was all right, but a bit boring in the middle, so I switched off. And you go, well, I'm gonna have to take that one on the chin. Yeah.
James, what did you ever finish a TV show and think, oh, I can't wait to get back to books, can't wait to get back to real history?
No, it's not that so much.
Oh yeah, true.
It's more you're just not so much in control. And you know, when you're when you're writing a book, it's your baby, and you have complete command and control over every aspect of it, pretty much. Whereas in TV, you're sometimes being asked to do stuff and say stuff that. I've never had to say anything on telly that I absolutely don't believe in, or that I've been pushed into saying something that I don't want to say, or whatever. But sometimes you think, oh, how's this going to be edited? And it's that kind of, it's that lack of control, I think, is a problem. I mean, for me, it's absolutely, if I could make my own films where I'm writer and presenter on every single one, I would.
But even then,
I know.
But even then, so I mean, with my latest series, working with Dan Jones, working with a brilliant company, Oxford Film and Television, who are really sort of responsive to but then the scripts would go in to the channel or execs or whoever, and they'd come back and it'd be changed, and I would like, oh no, there's loads more errors introduced now, and then I go and try and root them out again. So just like and it's time trying to root them all out. And I was working with Dan as well, who's obviously brilliant. Not this Dan, the other one.
Yep.
And
we all love Dan Jones.
Yeah, the less good-looking one. And he. When I actually came to I must admit, so because of course we were both doing the voiceover, not of course, but we were both doing the voiceover, but we were doing some of the recording separately. And so there was a bit of the programme that I hadn't seen in which he called Catherine Howard a whore. And when I saw this, when I finally saw this on it, I was like, no! How did he get away with doing that? But of course he was writing it as well, so he had the prerogative to do his bits. But,
right.
That was quite...
But that's interesting because that raises a point about... I mean, there is a trend now, isn't there, for multiple presenters. And, I've done a lot of stuff where there's multiple presenters. Sometimes it can work incredibly well, and sometimes it doesn't work quite so well because... you can find yourself with one person who's incredibly good at telly and another person who's not quite good, and the chemistry's not there. It's kind of Chris Evans and Matt LeBlanc, isn't it?
Depends on the chemistry, absolutely. Yeah.
Which I actually thought did work quite well, but anyway, but it's perceived not to. But I mean, that can be a bit of a problem, I think.
It can, but I think as a viewer, I often quite like it because you don't get this sort of tyrannical view, and you get the different voices. An hour long, particularly like a BBC hour, feels like quite a long time, given that we're all used to Snapchat and short little bits of info that you can snap on and snap off. And actually, if you've got multiple voices and different people to look at, it's as simple as that. You kind of think, oh, okay, my brain's switched back on, and I'm still listening, paying attention, engaged with material. What's your take, Dan?
Oh, my take. I get sort of frustrated after a few weeks of working in TV, and I can't wait to get back into the own privacy of my own study and get some archival research and think about endnotes and think about being comprehensive and being in charge. And then after about a week of that, I go, oh my god, I'm about to kill myself. I want to get back out on the road. Let's get back on the road and have fun and drink beer at night with all the team. And
that's the bit I really like. I like being in the battle bus in the van, and you've got the sound guy and you've got the cameraman and the director and the whole team, and there you are, and you work really hard during the day, and for some reason, even if you're not filming a huge amount and you're still hanging around, it's still tiring, isn't it? It just is. And at the end of the day, getting your lips around that first beer is always good.
What about, guys, the future? Because obviously here we are doing a podcast, streaming it live on the internet.
Well,
you've got a history festival. People seem to have a hankering in this era of being atomized in their cubicles and offices to actually get out and meet people at the weekend, do things in the weekend, rediscover community. We've all experienced in some way, I think, how things are changing, and where do you think history's going? Are we oral storytelling, or new media, or TV, or radio? What's going to happen?
I think there is a bit of new media coming in, and I think there won't be long. People do so many different things while they're watching television that why can't you show multiple different things while you're showing your television? I mean, it can't be long where we're following Dan Snow into a castle, and Dan's now walking up the staircase and talking about something, and you think, hang on a minute, I'd quite like to see what's screen left here, and Dan's walked past it, and you'll have an option to go screen left and look around it, and that'll be in half the screen, or then you can still hear Dan talking about it, but you can then switch back. You'll be able to have multiple different views, I think, and it's not far from the whole kind of VR stuff, is it?
Yeah, well, VR's 360 is amazing. What do you think, Marianne?
What
have you done professionally?
I think virtual reality will be a bit of a game changer. I mean, it's new technology, so it's a bit clunky and it makes people feel a bit seasick at the minute. But like you say, if you can be at home with your smartphone in a little box, walking through a Crusader castle with Dan Snow, I'd sign up. Yeah.
And
Let's
that's
do that.
well, you're the one going to Jordan soon for Crusader Castles, so
Well,
I look
that's
forward
true.
to following you. Make sure you're streaming. Make sure you do all that. Right? Suze, what about you? What do you think? What do you think the future holds for history across any platform?
Well, I mean, I do think that, I mean, obviously, given that we're recording this for a podcast, amongst other things, I think actually the podcast has taken off enormously because people, and things like Audible and various other, audiobooks, I think because people love having stories told to them. And so I don't think that's going away. That's not particularly new. It's just a new way of communicating it. So
I absolutely agree with that. And actually, I mean, history is really stories, isn't it? Stories about humans and human drama and all the rest of it.
I think the other thing is that it democratises it so that many more people have access to those archives, to those sites, to meeting other like-minded researchers, people getting involved with community-led archaeology, and then having platforms to publish and share that information. I think that's the big thing. It's not just about the boffins in their ivory towers or the fancy people on the telly. It's actually about everybody contributing to that wealth of knowledge.
Brig Guy Hubert just asked an interesting question on Periscope, which is, do you think there'll ever be a virtual living history project or museum? That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
it'd be amazing.
Yeah. So I hope
Wait.
there will be.
It's totally
Yeah, I
possible.
hope so.
Blowing my mind. I don't understand.
I know.
What that would be.
I'm confused
I
as
went
well.
to see, there was a research project that was funded by the Arts and Humanities Research Council at the Banqueting House in Whitehall, and they were putting on a mask from 1622 that was, or 23, I think it's 1622, that was played out in that banqueting hall. So they were recreating it, and they were filming it in 360. And also they have these, I don't even know what they're called, like they had a head with ears, like a little feature that they would move around in the direction of the sound, so they'll get a sound that you'll have a kind of 360 oral experience as well.
God, that sounds
and that's
fantastic.
so that's going, that's the sort of thing that's being created that will, I don't know how it's
And
going
where's
to be
that going to
used.
appear? On
I'm not
YouTube
sure. I
or
don't know
something?
because it's not my project. But
God, I want to see that.
that would be amazing. That sort of thing can be done, and it was just to have it. So I mean, I think ideally they're working with historical palaces. The idea is you go into these heritage sites and you could put on your device or whatever and have a sense of seeing the place suddenly peopled as it would have been.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be.
Going back in time as close as you can come.
You know, I'd love to recreate a First World Battlefield, Second World War battlefield. James, I know, will agree with me on this, and you do all that hard work of that reconstruction, film it all in that way, and then anyone for the subsequent history can just watch it on their VR headsets and benefit from that experience. So anyone can now see that mask that you went to see, which is great.
That would be awesome.
So, guys, okay, last question. Let's wrap it up. But if your life depended on it, though, deep down, would you rather make a TV show, go on an adventure for television or social media, or would you just like to sit there and write the book? On your deathbed, what will you be most proud of, perhaps?
I hate writing books because it involves sitting on my own at a computer
brilliantly honest.
just with my brain, and it's incredibly hard and quite painful. And the thing that I really like is going on adventures and talking to people, and so I am telly all the way, please.
Okay.
Well, I really do love writing books. I do like writing, but if I could do the project that I really, really want to do on television, then that might supersede it.
What is it?
Oh, what's that?
Well, I would love to do this kind of experimental archaeology thing. I think there are some, my field is the Second World War, so I'd like to do Great War journeys. I'd like to do the Chindits. I'd like to do Operation Gunnerside, the heavy water plant in Norway. And I'd like to go in a Sherman tank across from Normandy to Germany. I think that, and live it. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
No, I don't want anyone shooting at me. I just want to experience what it is like to live in that circumstance, to eat, dress, sleep, fumes, smells, all that's what I want. I just want to see what that feels like.
Okay.
I know about the Jeopardy.
Yeah.
What I don't know enough about is what it was like, and I think that would make good telly, and I think it'd be really exciting to do.
Okay, Suze, what do you think?
Well, I love making telly, but my deep heart is going into the archives. I work in the 16th century and going in and pulling out. I was in the French archives recently and pulling out these amazing manuscripts where they're slightly falling apart, and I'm thinking, I can't believe anyone is allowing me to touch them. And being able to read this incredible handwriting, and you can smell the smell of old books and the smell, and just feeling that no one has touched. Maybe someone has, but this has been written 500 years ago, and I'm able to read it now. That for me is always going to be my ultimate thrill.
I would agree that is
Well,
always a thrilling moment.
We're lucky that they're not mutually exclusive, and we can all go on doing a bit of everything. So thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, Dan.
And
thanks, Dan.
thanks for coming on the
Thanks, Dan.
podcast. You're all big friends of this podcast, and you'll be on a lot more in the future. Thank you.
Right.
Right.
Bye bye. See ya.